So from our perspective here on Earth, the sun appears to be moving on into gateway number 57. Now we've just been in gate 18, gate 48. These are both gateways in the spleen center. We're looking through all the spleen center gateways at the moment. These are the gateways that look after our health and well-being, our presence in life. Spleen operates always in present tense. And so all of these gateways we're looking at are just encouraging us, get with it, get alert, be present. Now the 18 and the 48 are both in what we call the collective circuitry. So we talk particularly about the 18 as the gateway of improving, bringing about things in a way that brings about a better quality of life, particularly in the circumstances around us, who we believe, who we trust, and in the end, directing the trust to ourselves. The 48 was this gateway of knowledge, or the expansion of knowledge, and finding out what are those things in life that really interest us and maintain that sense of freshness that we want to explore it more and more. But I said both of these are collective gateways. They're very much about the expansion of knowledge and things that we share in the world generally. When we get to the 57, where the sun is going into right now, it's a very, very different thing, because this 57 is in individual circuitry. That makes it very personal. And individual circuitry, instead of being visual in that we share points of view, we share things of interest, this is all about, what do we hear? What's that vibration that happens to us on an acoustic level? So we're going to see, a very, very different sense of awareness that comes about here. This is going to be auditory awareness. And we can pretty much say anything in individual circuitry in human design has to do with our auditory senses, that vibrational attunement. So here we are, this is the page, and we're calling this 57, the gateway, the gentle. Again, we're looking at the I Ching, which is coming from a very different culture than the Western culture. It's coming from a pictorial language. And we'll get to see exactly why we're calling this gateway the gentle. Having a look at the wheel here, we notice right away in the wheel, we're looking at the 57s on the right side of the wheel there, but we see also 3 other gateways that are highlighted here. And the 57 is in what we call the integration circuitry, and the integration circuitry having everything to do with our spine. Physiologically, our spine. Do we stand up for ourselves? Can we stand? Can we withstand whatever it is that life presents to us? So we can have action with the 10th gateway in the self center, what's also called the G center, through this channel of survival. We can have a connection with the 34 in the sacral center through this channel of empowering the intuition. And we can also have a connection to the throat center through the 20th gateway, and this complete run from the spleen center directly to the throat center. And this is an area where whatever happens, whatever alertness occurs in the spleen center immediately can be expressed in the 20th gateway. So, moving on, we see that the title of this particular hexagram, this gateway, is called the gentle. Intuition. Fascinating word, intuition. And it's also called the penetrating wind. So here's the image of it. And this is one that's very much put about when you're standing in a nice afternoon sunshine, and perhaps you're watching something, perhaps you're engaged with something, perhaps you're just sitting there outside and in nature. And it's a gorgeous day and you're just really enjoying that, but all of a sudden you realize, oh my goodness, all the time I hadn't noticed there's wind has been blowing, and all of a sudden I got this chill inside myself because the wind has gradually penetrated into my body. And so the inference here is that sense of awareness, that alertness, through being very, very gentle, very, very subtle, we penetrate into the environment, the world around us. And so this is the gateway of intuition. And we say you proceed gently. You proceed gently. The intuition is very, very gentle, very subtle, while paying attention to your intuitive clarity. Right? The intuitive clarity. Now we're saying this is a very personal thing. Everybody can be sitting there in the same place, but the intuition is just something that comes very, very personally. If there's a vibration, enactment that takes place inside, the sudden recognition, subtle recognition of something that's going on here. And so here's the commentary. You have access to an acoustic, vibrational sensibility that cuts through all manner of distractions to ascertain truth. Exercising intuition is literally to teach yourself inside yourself according to what it is that you hear. So very, very personal thing. And everybody gets different intuitions. And the great thing about getting an intuition is pay attention to it, right? And it's very, very subtle. Now, the spleen center is the center that is the oldest awareness center in our makeup. It's one that we share with the dinosaurs. It's one we share with animals, birds, fishes, trees. Everybody can have this intuitive connection here. Insects also. So it's very much a part of the world around us. And you'd have to say that most animals, they're totally intuitive. They just pick up on stuff, and we're wondering, why are they looking at that? What did they hear over there? So it's just for ourselves, this gentle thing of allowing ourselves to recognize this intuition is around. And it's for us to really pick up on it. And as I say, it's individual. Not everybody else is going to get the intuition. So there can be this whole crowd thing, or well, you couldn't really get that intuition. What does it mean anyhow? We're all doing this. And the mind can jump in and say, oh, that really wasn't anything. But then very often we'll find to our cost, we didn't pay attention to our intuition when it was really important for us. So we're going to have a go through all the 6 lines here. And we'll see their differences in terms of what we intuit, what we pick up, what it means to us on a personal level. So the first line here is the one of remaining calm, right? Remember, any first line, the bottom of the hexagram, it kind of gives an overall image of what that hexagram is all about. And so the first line says, look, the biggest fuss usually hides the silliest things. And isn't that just the case? You're looking at a situation, maybe somebody's talking to you, or they're making a big fuss about something, and your intuition just tells, hang on a minute, they're hiding something. There's a big smoke screen about whatever it is they're hiding. My intuition told me something very different about this instance here. And yet they're making out a whole different kind of story about it. And so that's that thing. And you'll find it in all kinds of situations in life, where you're challenged by the rule systems or the belief systems, right? Which are both collective things, shared information, borrowed stuff. Whereas the intuition is personal, it's very particular. And your intuition is telling me, hang on a minute, they're telling me all these rules and stuff, and they don't actually apply in this situation. And then comes the classic line, well, what would happen if everybody did this? Well, I'm not everybody, I'm just me in this situation doing my thing. So great encouragement with the 57 is trust that intuition, trust it. And when somebody puts up a big fuss and palaver in front of you, just be even more alert. What's really going on here? You allow your intuition to penetrate through confusion, right? It just goes right in there. It's the penetrating wind. It's subtle. It goes right in there. Or it becomes overwhelmed by chaos. And there's the other thing. All right, just stop making a fuss. It doesn't matter. I'll just go along with whatever you're telling me here. And that in that we surrender our individuality, and we don't trust our intuition. Here, Venus gives it a flavor. You perceive upsets to your sense of acoustic harmony without being distracted, right? You can hear the discord. You can hear the tone of voice that actually is not in tune with the situation. And Venus just says, okay, I can see through this. I can go along with this anyhow. You're not upsetting me. I've got an inner harmony here. I'm trusting my intuition. Or with the moon here, there's a potential moodiness. You can be upset by chaotic situations, lose your intuitive ability, and become indecisive, right? That you give up on your intuition. Okay, I'll just go along with whatever's being suggested here. And again, we can very easily lose our balance in this circumstance, lose our clarity. Second line is called infiltrating, getting right to the source of whatever it is that's really going on, recognizing hidden agendas. The second line always has this quality of the unusual approach to things, a very natural approach to things. And it's just saying, hang on a minute, I see something's out of balance here. What I'm hearing is not what I'm experiencing here. Your intuition penetrates to meanings hidden from other senses, right? You can be looking at it, you can be smelling it, you can be touching it, whatever, and your intuition is telling me, hang on, something's out of balance here. Giving you to act nobly or not, right? Because you can see something going on. It's, hang on a minute, maybe I can get some personal advantage out of this, you know? Maybe I can work things in my own way. So in the Venus side of the flavor of things, your harmonic nature enriches your clarity and virtue. Clarity and virtue is a matter of course. It's like, sure, I'm just going to do the right thing here because it feels right for me. It senses right for me. This is a harmonic engagement here. I perceive what's going on. I'm going to do things according to what I sense is the right thing to do. For me, my virtue, my qualities. And then again, the moon can give it this other side of things. Your moodiness allows you to ignore your intuitive recognition of your baser motives. Right? So the intuition picks up, hang on, you know, I can really go underneath here. I can really go around here, make something to my advantage here. And, you know, I'm just going to blow that off. It's not really, you know, it's not a relevant feature for me. But again, you know, there is this difference of being clean, virtuous and truthful in your own right and taking advantage of situations because you can penetrate through them. And it's not to say one or other is better than the other, but it's just to see both of these qualities exist with this second line. The third line is the line it's called being aware, sensitive, vibrational attunement. Whenever we're looking at any third line, we know the third line is always the first one in. It's always reaching beyond. It's going into new spaces. It's checking things out. And so the third line here can really, really be tuning into something or other. What's really going on here? And finding yourself immersed, even frozen in pure awareness. You're in it. You are it. You become the vibrational. You become the buzz. And it's a very, very intense experience, having that pure intuition where you are it. You're absolutely in tune with whatever it is that's going on around you. We can also call it Satori, even. You have the ability to attune to and relate to your perceptions of life from a pure intuition. And the whole thing is, if you've got this 57 with the third line, you'll just see it's like, got it, know what's going on here, know it. It's not about knowledge, not about what everybody else is looking at. I've got it. And then Neptune kind of gives it a very different kind of flavor here. Your deep intuitive gift sometimes takes you beyond reality and into fantasy. Right? And that's also a possibility with this third line. It's like you're so into something, but then, you know, it starts inventing itself. The intuition goes off into another realm altogether. And nothing good or bad about that, but, you know, reality is always important to engage with what is real. Fantasy can take us into all kinds of amazing things. I mean, there wouldn't be a Hollywood if we didn't have a fantasy realm. We wouldn't be exploring things on that realm. It stretches things. But the whole thing in the first place with the 57 and the third line is just having that absolute attunement with what it is that's going on in the first place. And then we come to the fourth line. And fourth lines, remember, there's a trigram at the bottom, which we're looking through these wind trigrams at the moment, and we're going to explore all of this realm. And this is very much about the gentle wind here, the wind that's penetrating everything. And the 57 is this gateway that has the double trigram. The same trigram of 3 markings on the bottom are the same as 3 markings on the top here. So the fourth line here is giving an echo of the first line in the first place, which was basically saying, look out for the big fuss going on around you. Penetrate right to the meaning. Don't get distracted. And the fourth line has this very influential quality. We are all involved in this thing together. What do we do? What do we need to do to get this appreciation together? And we're talking about something that's very personal here, this intuition. So the fourth line says, being fearless. Clear intuition sees afar, but must not succumb to fears. And it happens. You know, there's a whole arena of intuition, clairaudience that one can go into where you know what it is that's happening. And the fear for the 57 is the fear of the future. The reality is the intuitive sense from this place in space and time right now. Where is life going? But one can see, oh my goodness, everything's going to go off the rails. Everything's going to go into something very different. How do I relate this to the people around me? You attune deeply to your own and others' lives through considering everybody's needs. Right? Fourth lines are always involved in all kinds of other people's situations in life. And so this is the fourth line here can really go very, very deeply into, well, I get what's going on with me, but I can also intuit what's happening with everybody else here. How do I guide them? How do I influence them in a way that's really helpful, positive? You intuit and align to everyone's ways and wants, even before they are aware of them. It's just one of those gifts. The 57 can see through everybody's nonsense. They can see right to what does this person really need in life? How do they become empowered in their own life? Right? We've all been given the collective approach. Follow the rules, follow the beliefs, but the individual has to stand in their own right. And the 57 is all about in tuning to what is it that resonates with me. And so the fourth line has this means of being able to guide people to recognize their own intuition and how it's important for them to trust in themselves. Now, Mars, on the other hand, tends to be a little pushy. Let's do something here. And it says you act rashly on your intuitions in directing others, sometimes treading on people's toes. And it's just that thing. I need to get in there. I need to be able to influence people or help them. That is my gift here. But with a push, with any kind of a push, without being invited or responding or however it comes with your design, your type and authority, there can be that thing of just rushing in there and taking over a situation and finding out actually nobody really wanted that, or you're treading on their toes and you're kind of actually distracting them from their own pathway and their own empowerment. Fifth line always has this leadership quality, teacher quality. It has the kind of overview of everything. Everybody looks to the fifth line. What are we going to do here? The line says being gentle, right? Yeah, you've got intuition. Yeah, you've got that, but be gentle with it. Attuning to life situations moment by moment, right? The fifth line always has this tendency to go off to pie in the sky. Wouldn't it be great if? Couldn't we do something like this? And this line is very clear. It says moment by moment. That is the reality. We only have present moment. Yes, we have all kinds of ideas of what happened in the past. We have all kinds of ideas of what might happen in the future. And the 57 very often can see that. The 57 can look down the road, and the fifth line in particular. So you deliberately evaluate your intuition, right? What did I get there? What was that little tap on the shoulder? What was that intuition I got? Or you forge ahead regardless and deal with the results. Right? We're capable of dealing with anything. So it's not like saying the results are going to be a disaster necessarily, but it is, fifth lines have to take responsibility. And we always say about a fifth line, practicality is your ally. When you can see something or you can sense what it is that's happening and make a practical approach to giving guidance, then you've really got it. You always recognize a direct connection between transformation and trusting intuition. Right? Don't we all get that sometimes? It's like, oh, if only I'd paid attention. I just got that little hunch. I got that little sensation. I ignored it. I just carried on and missed the whole thing. Missed that possibility. And so intuition, we see it's a key. It's always trying to get our attention. To go in a way that lines us up with an appropriate pathway, a pathway that resonates with us as an individual. And here again, the moon, your moodiness can be overwhelmed by events, causing you to overlook intuitive updates. Right? Just because we get an intuition does not mean to say we don't get another one a few seconds later, or another one 5 minutes later, or another one an hour later. Right? Reality checks, bringing us up to speed, bringing us up to the moment. And that's what this line is all about. Attuning to life situations moment by moment. That is the reality. Right? The head wants to run off with things. It wants to, oh, it should be this, should be that. And the intuition is a very, very different sense. And then we come to the sixth line, being circumspect. Curbing the intuition to relevant issues that are at hand. There's always that possibility with the sixth line that it comes to the end of the hexagram. I'm kind of done with this hexagram. I'm kind of done with this whole thing. What's the next hexagram coming up? What's over the fence there? What's going on next door? And so the sixth line can kind of blow off intuition. It's like, yeah, I already worked this one out, and why is everyone fussing around with it? And so here the line says, be circumspect, curb the intuition to relevant issues that are at hand. Yes, it's fascinating to look into the future, to surmise what it is that might happen, but be present. You either have self-confidence or not, to trust in and act on what your intuition tells you. And remember, the intuition is always in a moment. It's a flash. And one either gets it or doesn't. One either recognizes it or not. And in this time when the world is changing so rapidly, all of us have to dust off any complaints we have about our intuition, any ideas that we have of just pushing it aside and ignoring it. We have to tune into our intuition. We're moving out of an age of the collective, where the rule systems, the belief systems are all, we've got to follow them, got to go along with them. We're moving into the age of the individual. And the 57 plays a large part in that, in giving us the awareness, the intuition of how to proceed in our life on our terms, when a sense of all the rules and regulations and everything we've been told starts to diminish in importance. And I'm not talking about insurrection or revolution or anything like that. I'm just saying this is the tide of where things are going. So the greatest encouragement here with the 57 is pay attention, be alert, be present. Here with Uranus, you have the unusual gift of intuiting things that cannot be discerned by other means, right? That's the 57 with the sixth line at its highest quality, pure clairaudience. You can pick up on stuff. Nothing happened. Where did you get that idea from? Where do you have the follow through? Do you have the perception to follow through, recognize its importance and follow through? And then the Mars side of it, your drive to act rashly comes from a fear that you are helpless to solve difficult situations. This may be the case, that difficult situations show up and it's like it's beyond me, it's beyond the scope of my abilities to be able to deal with this. And the Mars energy is the tendency to want to push ahead and fix it, get it right, do something or other. And here it's just saying, trust in your self-confidence. Self-confidence. This, if ever there was an age for us to realize how human design is the perfect tool to deliver us into a place of self-confidence, then this is it. And the sixth line is saying, look, it's all about your self-confidence. It's all about your recognition of situations. Can you trust your intuitions? Or do you sense I have to do something? Or can I just allow the perception to come to me and be guided into what it is that needs to take place? Okay, so there we are with gate 57. This is all about intuition. It's all about our personal alertness, how we hear stuff, what we do about it. Things heard, things not heard, but things sensed intuitively.